Que tengas un buen día. What's tengas? Welcome to the Subjunctive Workshop. We're going to answer that for you right now. If you're an intermediate student, you've been wondering, tenga, tengo, tengas, tienes, what's the difference? Well, we're going to explain it to you in a simple way because for us, it doesn't exist in English the way they use it in Spanish. So it's very hard. If you're an intermediate student, you've probably experienced that and gotten stuck on subjunctive. We're going to get you unstuck right here. Simple rules to help you in the real world, what you need and what you don't need to really use subjunctive in the real conversational world. So enjoy, check it out, stay till the end for some free resources and more tips to help you get beyond the intermediate plateau to conversational Spanish. Let's go. Vamos. Cool. So, welcome to the Subjunctive Workshop. All right. What we're going to do in the next, how much time? What time is it right now? 3:45. Okay. 3:47. In the next hour and hour 15, maybe hour and a half, if you guys have a lot of questions and you want to stay, for the next hour and 15 minutes, we're going to talk about this verb tense that is one of the hardest things in Spanish to master. All right, the subjunctive. And you'll hear it every day. What is it? When do you use it? How do you use it? All these things we're going to look at, okay? And people can get stuck on this for months or years, and it can really stop you in your progress, and it doesn't have to. That's my goal for you today, is to show you what do you need and what don't you need to be conversational. All right. So let's jump in. All right. Before I get in, I want one more question from all of you. Okay. How many of you have studied the subjunctive before or have even heard about it? All right. How many of you have either studied it or heard about it? Just in the chat, just say yes. Okay. Yes or no. Okay. How many of you have studied it or heard about it in Spanish? All right. Roberto has heard it, but not studied it. Judith, same. All right. Sandra, yes, but not that much. Charles heard about it. Mike heard about it. Virgie, no. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Heard about it, but not studied. Okay. Good, good, good. Studied in high school Spanish, says Linda. Okay. All right. Now, next question. How many of you have studied the present tense? How many of you have studied the present tense in Spanish? All right. Is there anybody who hasn't? If you haven't, put a no. Is there any total beginners in here that hasn't studied? So Tosh says a little. So you're probably in a beginner level, right? Most of you have studied the present tense. All right. Not studied any tenses, but can speak fairly well. Interesting. Okay. All right. How many of you have studied the pretérito tense in Spanish, the past pretérito? How many of you have studied the past pretérito? The what? Says Roberto. Okay. A little bit. Sandra says yes. Mike says I'm not sure. Like, instead of saying yo voy, yo fui, or yo hablo, yo hablé, yo compré, tú compraste. Okay, Mike says no. All right. Charles says yes. Okay. So the first thing to know is that subjunctive is the most advanced verb tense out there, but it's okay that you're here. Even if you're a beginner, you're still going to gain some insight here. All right. So if you have time and you're just relaxing, don't panic. Don't think, ooh, I'm intimidated. There's so much. Don't worry about it. All right. This will all make sense when you get to it later down the road, but this will be good for you to hear so that you don't go down this road unnecessarily. All right. So in order to do the subjunctive, you have to know the present tense and the preterito tense. That's mandatory. If you don't know those tenses well, you cannot do subjunctive, period. Okay, so that's the first thing to know. Present tense and preterito tense are mandatory before ever being able to have any chance of learning the subjunctive. Okay? Let's go to a little example. All right? Here we go. What is subjunctive? All right? You go. All right? Everybody put in the chat, how do you say you go? Okay. Vas, vas, vas. You go. Ustedes van. Okay, that's fine. You guys go. All right. Now, I hope that you go. Anybody take a guess? Wild guess. I'll give you a hint just for those who don't know. I hope is yo espero. Okay, I'll give you that. All right. Nice, Roberto. I can see you didn't spell it right, but you said it right. So I can see you've got some kind of instinctive Spanish, right? You've kind of street picked it up, but you didn't spell it right. Okay. All right. Espero que vas, espero que vas, espero que vas, espero que vas. Linda says, espero que vayas. Woo, nicely done, Linda. It's, all right. You go is tu vas, and I hope you go is espero que tu vayas, or vayas. You don't have to put the two in there. Okay. This is an example of subjunctive. It's a totally different verb tense. All right. So we're going to learn when to use it and how to conjugate it to an extent here today. All right. So first, let's look at our goal. Okay. This is the levels of Spanish. Where does subjunctive fit in? All right. Well, you have 6 levels, A1 to C2. A1, A2 is what I call survival Spanish. All right. Getting things done, asking for food, asking for directions, basic getting needs met. B2, B1 is what I call the intermediate plateau. All right. It's like survival Spanish is easy, but conversations are hard. Okay. It's a drag. It's stressful. It's tiring. And you miss a lot of it. Okay. You don't have a good vocabulary. You don't have a lot of grammar and verb tenses. B1. B2 and C1. B2 is what I call conversational. That's the breakthrough level. That's the level we teach. We get people from A1 to B2 and beyond. All right, because that's the life changer. That's where Spanish comes alive, where you can immerse, make friends, have relationships. Okay, that's what we want to achieve. All right, we don't want to just survive and be able to order food and get taxis. We want to be able to converse. B2, C1, and then C2 is fluency. Here's the good news about subjunctive is they use it all the time. But with just a little bit of insight that we'll give you today, you can get by B2, C1 level perfectly fine without it, with very little of it. C2 fluency, you need to master it, okay? But for B2 and for C1, you don't need to master it, all right? You just need a couple of tips. All right. I'm not going to spend a long time on this, but I want to put it in context. It's important because so many schools and tutors and apps teach subjunctive way too early. So I want to put it in proper perspective. This is the goal. This is how you get to conversational Spanish right here. Okay. This is what I do with my students. Our goal is to have a one-on-one conversation about any topic where you can understand them and be understood in a way that flows naturally. It doesn't have to be perfect Spanish, but it has to work and it has to flow. And you're not on your Google Translate all the time. Okay, maybe a word here or there, but for the most part, you are confident in one-on-one conversations. Okay, that's what we want. To get to that goal, you need words, you need to hear the words, and you need to say the words. All right, if you're not hearing them, I got many, many intermediate plateau students who come to me after years of Spanish. They can read a newspaper, but if I read it back to them, or even worse, if a local reads it back to them quickly, they can't understand it. Right? So if you can't understand it, you're not having conversation. If you are afraid to speak, if you're not confident speaking, you're not having conversation. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many words you know, right? So you always have to develop these three skills. So that means perfect pronunciation. You should learn that in 1 or 2 weeks. You should be able to get really good and confident at that. You know, it's always a work in progress, but in 1 to 2 weeks, you should know the rules of pronunciation. Listening. You should be working on this from day one, even if you're a total beginner. There are things you can do to hear Spanish better. And then vocabulary includes 200 verbs and 20 verb phrases, 8 verb tenses, 200 glue words, and 50 to 100 vocabulary topics like the restaurant, the beach, the gym, sailing, golf, the doctor's office, whatever, asking directions, topics, okay? There are 100,000 words in the Spanish language, and that doesn't include verb conjugations, okay? I've boiled it down to the smallest amount that I could from 15 years of speaking Spanish and 25 years since high school studying it and 5 years teaching it. I've boiled it down to what I consider the minimum amount you need to be conversational. All right. And if you don't have this stuff, you should not be touching subjunctive at all. You shouldn't even breathe it. Okay. If you do not have 200 verbs, 8 verb tenses, 200 glue words, and 50 to 100 vocabulary topics, you should not even think about learning subjunctive. It will only make your life miserable. Okay, so that is why this context is important. What happens is most programs on the world will teach you a ton of vocabulary. They'll teach you present tense, maybe the pretérito, 1 or 2 tenses. And then somewhere in there, they'll throw in a lesson on subjunctive. And I'm just like, why? Why are you doing that? It's just not necessary. Okay, so we don't want to do that until you have, these are the tenses you do need. Okay, 100%. These 8 right here. All right. I talked, I will talk, I would talk, I have talked, I am talking, I have been talking, I talked and I talk. Hablaba, hablaré, hablaría, he hablado, estoy hablando, he estado hablando, hablé, hablo. If you don't know those 8 tenses with 200 verbs, do not pass go. Do not study subjunctive. Okay? I can't say that enough. It just happens so often. And you're going to see why it's so difficult. But what I said in the beginning, at a minimum, to get subjunctive, you have to have pretérito and you have to have present, because the subjunctive is connected to those in how it's conjugated. Okay? So here we go. All right. These are the verbs of Spanish. All right? Right here. These are all the verb tenses. Right there. That's one verb, hablar. Okay? One single verb. This is what stops most people from becoming conversational, is this right here. Okay? And down below, you see this thing called subjunctive. All right. What is subjunctive? In English, think of a sentence, I wish you were here. It's a hypothetical. It's not, it hasn't happened yet. That's one of the different rules of subjunctive. I wish you were here. Okay? Some people like to argue that English has subjunctive, and it does. Okay? English does have subjunctive. But what English does not have, it does not have special conjugations for subjunctive. So if you learn the present tense and the past tense in English, I wish you were here. Okay. I hope you will come. Those sentences don't have some special form. I hope you come, present tense. I wish you were here, past tense. There's no special verb tense for subjunctive. All right. In Spanish, you do. Okay. They conjugate totally differently than the present tense or the past tense or the future. All right. So we don't have it in English the way they have it. That's what makes it challenging. That's one of the things that makes it challenging. All right. You have to learn all these different ways of saying it. Okay. So instead of hablo, it's hable. All right. Instead of hable, it's hablara and hablase and all this other stuff. So it's hard because it's more, right? Basic, plain and simple. It's just more stuff to learn. And you already have your hands full with these guys, right? Okay. Sorry. Okay, Richard. Yep. Send me a message for the replay. And by the way, if any of you have to go early, we'll have the replay. Just send me a message. I'll get you access to the replay. Okay, we have replays on lots of free workshops. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why it's so challenging. We talked, most of you have studied the present tense, so I'm not going to go over that today, but just real quickly, you should basically understand that in Spanish, okay, there are subjects and verbs, okay, like I eat, right? You eat, he eats, she eats, they eat, etc. Subject, verb. And the subject changes the verb. Who's the subject? Changes the verb. All right? You have 5 types of subjects. Yo, tú, singular, plural, nosotros. And that's true for all verb tenses, including the subjunctive. All right? So, yo conjugates a certain way. Yo como. Tú comes. Singular could be anything. He, she, it, the dog, the cat, the man, the woman. Come. Plural could be anything. The dogs, the cats, the men, the women, los hombres, las mujeres, los perros, los gatos, los libros, los coches, las casas. It doesn't matter. Plural. Comen. And we eat, nosotros comemos. All right. So subjunctive is no different from all the other verb tenses out there. All right. So there are 2 challenges. First is when to use subjunctive, and the second is how to conjugate subjunctive. So first, we're going to look at when to use it before we look at how to do it. All right. When are they going to use it? What is it? Here are 3 examples. I hope you are well. Espero que estés bien. Right? Normally it would be estás, right? You are well. Estás bien. But here, I hope you are well. Espero que estés bien. I wish you were here. Ojalá que estuvieras aquí. All right? That's estar again. And here's another one. I wish you were here. Ojalá que estuvieses aquí. These 2 are identical. There are 2 past subjunctives, and they are interchangeable. Marilyn, do you want to say anything about it? Is there any situation where you would use estuvieras or estuvieses, or they're pretty much equal?
Well, no, usually we use estuvieras because estuvieses is something from old Spanish, like people.
It's okay. So Marilyn is in Mexico. So if David was here, David has told me he's in Venezuela, our other teacher, they use this one a lot as well. So depending what country you're in, they might use more of this one or that one. Right? I think this one is the more popular one worldwide overall, but I think some countries use this a bit. Magda, en Argentina, ¿ustedes usan estuvieras, estuvieses o los dos? ¿Estás ahí? Magda's in Argentina, but she might be driving right now, so she can't answer. And that's okay. So the point is that these two are kind of interchangeable. So it's really, there's really two, okay? This is called the subjunctive present, and this is called the subjunctive past. And I just call this one the subjunctive past number 2. Okay, so there's 3 subjunctives in total. Okay, when do we use it? All right. So I took this from this guy's book, so I'm giving him credit. All right. I thought he did an excellent job explaining it, so I stole it. Okay. Good news, if you never learn subjunctive in your life, you can 100% speak conversational Spanish. Okay? Why? Because in these examples here, if I said, espero que estás bien, Marilyn, would you understand what I'm saying?
Totalmente, sí.
And if I said, I wish you were here, ojalá que estuvieron aquí, would you understand?
Yep.
Okay, so you don't have to use subjunctive and they will understand you 100% if you know the other 8 tenses that I told you. Right? So in terms of speaking Spanish, not necessary. You don't need it. Not for conversational Spanish, not to be understood. For understanding, you do need it because they use it all the time. So if you don't have at least a grasp of it, you're going to not understand some things. All right? But it looks very similar to the tenses you already know, the present tense and the pretérito. So if you know those tenses, you will recognize it almost immediately, right? Like if you know estás and you see espero que estés bien, how many of you could figure out, all right, I'm going to do another one right here. Somebody tell me what this means, okay? Somebody tell me what this means. Everybody type in the chat, what does that mean? Espero que tengas un buen día. Okay. Judith, Roberto. Okay. Renee, good. All right. Tosh, good. All right. Everybody gets this right, and none of you have studied subjunctive. Isn't that a miracle? Felicidades. Okay. You know subjunctive. All right. If you know the other tenses, the present and the pretérito, you will recognize subjunctive when you hear it. It'll just be a little weird, like, wait, did he just say estés or estás? Right? If you didn't know subjunctive at all, no one told you this, okay? You would just think for a second, it sounds like estás, but he said estés. I'm confused. Now you're not confused. You just know it's subjunctive. Okay? It sounds very similar to what you already know. Okay, so that's the good news. All right. More good news. If you just learn 10 words, you will be understand 80 to 90 to 100% of subjunctive when you hear it. And we're going to learn those words today. All right. So isn't that exciting? If you're excited to learn those 10 words, say C in the chat. All right. So we're going to learn the 10 words. All right. With a little asterisk, you have to know the present tense and the preterito first. If you don't know those two, then all bets are off. But if you know those present tense and preterito, and you learn these 10 words right here, you will understand basically 100% of the subjunctive. Okay? So that accomplishes our goal, right? Our goal, we don't need it to speak Spanish. And with 10 words plus the present and preterito, we can understand 100%. That's it. That's my biggest message for today is that's all you need to be conversational. You do not need to master this. Okay? You need the present tense, the preterito, and these 10 words. Here's the bad news. The rules are very hard. It's hard to conjugate it. It's hard to when to use it. It takes a lot of work to use it correctly. It's worth it. Okay? It changes your life. It takes you to another level of Spanish, right? What you're going to do today will help you take you to another level of understanding Spanish. All right. If you go even further and you master it, then you're heading towards fluency. That's even another level, right? So it's all about emotion, feeling, passion. Subjunctive is really an unique verb tense that adds flavor to the language. Okay. And that's fun. Okay. You get some nuance. You get a little bit more feeling behind what's being said if you grasp subjunctive. Okay. So let's go over this about when to use it. The secret, it's simple. All right. Liliana told us that the indicative mood, the present tense, handles most everyday situations. It's normal, business-like, straightforward kind of mood for normal, simple Spanish. The subjunctive is a spaced-out hippie lodging happily in a world of unreality and uncertainty, always subjectively giving his hippie interpretation of reality and emotions, philosophizing all day about hypothetical and interesting things that probably haven't happened yet. All right, everybody, okay? That sounds crazy, but it's actually really helpful. Okay, that really weird, loose definition will give you a sense. Aren't there any rules? Yes, but, okay, all that hippie stuff is helpful, but like I promise, but like all grammar, okay, there are some rules that help you find your way through subjunctive labyrinth. This report brings you the most important and largely simple rules that you need to press on in your mission towards fluency. But apart from the principal most important rules listed below, there are still other minor subjunctive rules that not even Spanish speakers know. All right, and I have gone over this with my team. I was reviewing this before the class today, and we were debating, and they were discussing amongst themselves. Okay, see you, Tosh. Check, send a message if you'd like the replay. They were even discussing situations themselves if you should or shouldn't use it. Okay, and these are native speakers, right? So subjunctive is just a vague world, a world where it's clear up to a certain point, and then it gets really fuzzy at a certain point. Okay, but, and guess what? They aren't bothered by that fact, so neither should you be. Okay, native speakers have just developed the subjunctive corner of their brains to a high degree, just as you will develop your subjunctive sixth sense as well over time. Okay, that's big picture. Keep in mind, so don't panic. Don't just dive into the rules and don't just dive into the grammar and the conjugations and just get lost. Have perspective. All right. Number one, it's not important for conversational Spanish beyond just a little bit. Number two, it's a little bit vague, and that's okay. All right. So now that you're prepared with the mindset, now let's go learn about it. Okay. We use subjunctive when we don't specify or are not sure if a certain person, place, or thing exists. If you are sure the thing exists, you use indicative more often. So imagine I want to buy a t-shirt with a photo of Elvis on it. So I walk into the t-shirt shop and I say one of the following two things. Busco una camiseta que lleva una foto de Elvis. I'm looking for a shirt that has a photo of Elvis. Or you can say it like this. Busco una camiseta que lleve una foto de Elvis. Both sentences mean the same thing. I am looking for a t-shirt with a photo of Elvis on it. But in the first sentence, I use the indicative because I know that this shop has such a t-shirt because I was there last week and I saw it. But the second sentence is I don't know. I just showed up to a shop and I'm like, hey, do you guys have a shirt with Elvis on it? I'm looking for a shirt with Elvis on it. Right? The uncertainty brings out the subjunctive. Okay, so now you're starting to see the world. You're starting to creep into the world of subjunctive. Okay, it's a feeling, it's a mood, it's emotional, it's uncertain, it's doubt. Okay, here are a list of sort of rules, okay, as close as we can get to rules of when you might use subjunctive. A desire, okay, but here's the catch, okay, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but it's 99% true, okay. Our coaches and I were just debating this fact before we even got on the workshop. And Marilyn, maybe you can give your answer in a second. You have to have two verbs and two different subjects. Okay? So, quiero que vayas. I want, there's your first verb and subject, you to go. Okay? So you have a different verb or a different subject with a verb. Okay, if you said I want myself to go or I want to go, you're not changing the subject and therefore you're not using subjunctive. Okay, so the subject has to change from one person to another. Okay, so that's the first rule. Marilyn, can you think of any exceptions to that rule? If not, it's okay. That's, you know, if you can't think of it, it won't be.
No, I cannot think about a specific example, but your rules are 99%.
Right.
It's almost, yeah.
Yeah, that's our goal, because our goal is conversational, right? We're trying to get people to conversational. So 99% is an A. It's an A plus, right? So here's an example of one. Que tengas un buen día. All right. Que tengas un buen día. In this one, there's only one subject. Have a good day. Right? But the actual, if you understand what's going on here, it's actually implied, I hope you have a good day. So actually the implication is there is another subject and verb in there. Okay, so it's I hope that you have a good day, but they just shortened it to have a good day. Okay, so the general rule is two subjects with two verbs. All right. Any questions so far? We hanging in there? Everybody hanging on? All right, because it's going to get crazy. Okay. Now let's go through the list. All right, these are just examples. A desire. I hope that you come. Espero que vengas. I need you to come. A need. Necesito que vengas. A command. I insist that you come. Insisto que vengas. An emotion. I'm happy that you came. Estoy feliz que hayas venido. An uncertain situation. I'm not sure that they can come. No estoy seguro que puedan venir. Hypothetical situation. I would come if you guys were here. Yo vendría si ustedes estuvieran aquí. A doubt. I doubt that we can come. Dudo que podamos venir. A negative opinion. I don't think they should come. No creo que deban venir. Okay, so these are like 8 general rules of thumb. All right. Desire, a need, a command, an emotion, an uncertain situation, a hypothetical situation, a doubt, a negative opinion. Okay. Don't worry if you memorize it. Keep that subjunctive corner sixth sense in your brain. You're trying to get the sixth sense of this thing more than the exactness of this thing. Okay. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. I have not mastered subjunctive, and I've been doing this 15 years. But guess what? It hasn't stopped me from teaching Spanish to hundreds of people. It hasn't stopped me from doing everything I want to do, having a girlfriend, living together, right? Having friendships, traveling the world, being in every Latin country you can name, right? It hasn't stopped me from immersing. Okay? So it won't stop you either. All right? Here's some more examples. Common triggers. Okay? I hope. I want. I hope you have a nice day. I want you to come. I need you to help me. Okay? I want you to visit me, or I desire. Okay? I wish, ojalá. I wish you came. I pray that you get better. It's important that you come. It's necessary that you come. It's necessary. All right? So those are desire triggers. Okay, here's some uncertainty triggers. It's possible for me to come. It's probable that I will come. It's doubtful that I will come. I doubt that you will come. I'm waiting for you to come. Okay? All right? Notice it's possible for me to come, right? It is possible is not me, so it's still a different subject, all right? So it is possible is not I am possible, it's it is possible. All right, so you still have two different subjects there. All right, some emotional triggers. Okay, I'm glad that you came, or I'm happy that you came. I'm excited that you're coming. I'm sad that you're not coming. I'm nervous that you will lose. I'm content that you came. I'm upset that you didn't win. I'm annoyed that you didn't win. Marilyn, any corrections here? Anything you would see to correct, or all good?
I think all are good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Negative opinions. Okay. I don't think you will come. I don't believe that you're going to lose. I don't think I don't think you are going to win. All right. Okay. Any questions on this so far? Are you getting the feel of it? Are you kind of, all right? Here's some more triggers. All right. All right. I can eat on the condition that you eat. I can eat. So ignore that it's kind of a weird sentence, but these are just, some common triggers, right? It doesn't mean 100% triggers, but common triggers. I can eat on the condition that you eat. Okay. I can eat so that you eat. Or I will eat so that you eat. I can't eat unless you eat. I can eat before you eat. Okay. Antes de que, a condición de que, a fin de que, a menos que. All right. So I'll start reading the Spanish as well. I can eat provided that you eat. Puedo comer con tal de que tú comas. I can eat in case you eat. En caso de que tú comas. So that you eat. Para que tú comas. For fear that you don't cook. Por miedo de que no cocines. Provided that you eat. Siempre que tú comas. Without eating. Sin que tú comas. All right. When you eat. Cuando comas. All right. Now, Marilyn, in this example, I could go both ways, right? I could say, Yo puedo comer cuando comes or comas. Could I go both ways with that sentence?
Yeah. You can use sometimes indicativo and sometimes subjuntivo, depending on the idea. What do you want to express? If it's something real, it's a fact, so you have to use indicativo. If it's something unreal, uncertain, you have to use subjunctive.
Right.
That's the difference.
So right here, I can eat. When you eat is like a fact, like you're about to eat, and then I'm going to eat.
Yep.
Right. If you're not sure, are they eating? I can eat when you eat, whenever that may be, subjunctive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactamente.
So that's like that other example, right? So you guys get the feeling here. Okay. So these are just some more common, all right? Hopefully it can catch. Okay, Roberto. All right. When we use opinion verbs in the affirmative, all right, it's different. When we use opinion verb in the negative, it's subjunctive. So I think that Anna is friendly. All right. Creo que ella es muy simpática. I don't think she is friendly. No creo que ella sea muy simpática. Okay. I think that same with pienso. All right. Y no pienso, same with parece y no parece. All right. It seems that she is friendly. It doesn't seem she is friendly. So that's a negative opinion. Okay. All right. So when we make evaluations, we use the subjunctive after K. So evaluations. All right. It seems unbelievable to me that some people don't recycle. So it's like judging. It's wrong that we use the car when it's not necessary. Okay. It's a pity that there are so many fires. So it's like a little bit like judging. Okay. We're evaluating. Okay. So again, you shouldn't set your goal on memorizing this list. What you should set your goal on today is having a notion of subjunctive. All right. And then put a bookmark by it. Go learn 200 verbs. Go learn 8 verb tenses. And then come back to the subjunctive when you've mastered that and you're fully conversational in Spanish. So let's just do a little game here. Okay. We're going to do a little game. All right. These are just examples. Okay. Subjunctive or not subjunctive. All right. Don't need to look at your screen, but I'm going to leave it on for those who are there. Just try to, go with your feel. Okay. So, I usually wait before, I answer the phone. Subjunctive or not subjunctive. I usually wait before I answer the phone. Just put yes or no. Yes, subjunctive, or no, not subjunctive. I wait before I answer the phone. Okay, Judith says no. Anybody else? I wait before I answer the phone. Mike says I'm not sure. Anybody else? Anyone take a stab? Renee says no. Okay, cool. I guess a lot of people have left. So, okay. Good. The answer is no. And why? Because the subject didn't change. Okay. I wait before I answer the phone. Same subject. See that? All right. I need you to answer the phone. Yes or no? Subjunctive or not? Good. Yes. Okay. I need you to answer the phone. Okay. He calls before he arrives home. He calls before he arrives home. And everyone knows why, right? Because the subject didn't change. Okay. All right. How about this? When you arrive, I'll eat. When you arrive, I will eat. Good. Okay. Yes. Because it's kind of like it hasn't happened yet. It's hypothetical, right? Okay. I need John to ask the teacher. Yes or no? All right. Good. How about this one? When you arrive, when you arrive, you will eat. When you arrive, you will eat. All right, right? Because it doesn't change subject. Now, Marilyn, we had it, and I changed it right now. I said, I don't know if I typoed that or not. When I arrive, I will eat. Was that me typoing? Could that be subjunctive? Could that be an example or no?
Yep.
Cuando llego.
Cuando llegue,
Okay, so cuando llegue,
comeré.
comeré. So this is an example. Okay, so we found it. So this is the world. So you remember when Marilyn was like trying to think if she could think of any examples where the subject didn't change and she couldn't, and now it's here. I'm telling you, even Spanish speakers don't have it clear in their mind all the different uses. So you don't need to either. So the rule of thumb is the subject has to change. That's a good rule of thumb. All right. But if someone were to tell you, cuando llegue, comeré, you'll understand it, even if you're like, wait, I thought the subject had to change. And it didn't. Just take that rule as a 99% rule. Okay. There are situations where the subject doesn't change, but you can still use subjunctive. All right. Can you elaborate on those at all a little bit, Marilyn?
Well, in this case, when I arrive, I will eat is something like a desire. So that is why it's subjunctive. Because subjunctive, we use it with desires,
Sure.
and blah, blah, blah. And all of the type of sentences. And also, when you use cuando, most of the time with when, we use subjunctive.
Yeah.
Cuando llegue, cuando estudie, cuando viaje.
So I've been doing this 15 years. I still don't even know if, I can't even give you guys the exact, but if you said cuando llego, comeré, they'll understand you if you use the present tense, right? So all I can tell you is that it's hard to explain why sometimes you can use it with the same subject, all right? But most of the time, it has to be different subjects. Okay, cool. Let's just do a couple more. All right. It is important that you learn Spanish, subjunctive or not. It is important that you learn Spanish. Okay, it is a yes. It is a subjunctive, that one. Okay, why? Because one, it changes subjects, and two, it's a hypothetical. It's important that you do something. It's a need, a desire, okay? And then the subject changes. All right? Okay. How about this one? Tell me when you are home. Subjunctive or no? Yeah, Renee, subject is it and you. Tell me when you are home. Yes, subjunctive, okay? It's uncertain. It's uncertainty. Okay? All right, I'm just going to cheat and tell you these all in this column are all subjunctive. So let's just read them just to give you more examples. Okay, just it's all about the feel. I hope you can come to the party. I'll be there when the class begins. I doubt they will believe our story. This is all subjunctive. Is it possible for them to bring the food? I'm excited that you are buying a car. John is sad that his kids haven't called him. Okay? We put it in both columns here because this is another one where it could go both ways, with subjunctive or without. Right? And so, Marilyn, what would be the feeling if you did it with subjunctive versus without subjunctive here?
John está triste de que sus hijos no le han llamado. It's a fact. If it's a fact, his kids haven't called yet.
Yeah.
He's actually sad. In that case, you have not to, you don't need subjunctive. If it's something that you are not.
Like it's 12 o'clock, they were supposed to call and they didn't.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the second one, John is sad that his kids haven't called him.
Que no
Maybe
le hayan llamado.
Que no le hayan llamado.
So there's not a set time, there's not a set date. It's just, why haven't my kids called me? You know, I've been here for years and they haven't called me. Right? So this is the subtlety of subjunctive. But again, you don't need to know that. You could use the present tense and the preterito tense and be fine. Okay? But in terms of understanding, you'll hear it. All right? So now let's go into conjugation. Okay? You've got a picture of the world of subjunctive. You've got a feeling for the subjunctive. Okay? I'll finish these off. I doubt you can carry the weights. I don't think he will change the tire. I'm happy you're cleaning the house. I'm happy you're coming. Okay? You get the feeling of subjunctive. All right? Now let's conjugate it. Before we conjugate it, just a little quick reminder of present tense. All right? Does anybody need a reminder about the present tense here? Okay. All right. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablan, hablamos. Como, comes, come, comen, comemos. Vivo, vive, vives, vive, viven, vivimos. All right. If you don't know those, then just go study those and watch this video again later. Okay. Because you have to know those, the AR verbs, the ER verbs, the IR verbs, and you also have to know the irregulars. Okay. Yo estoy, yo tengo, yo voy. Okay. You have to know the irregulars because the subjunctive will use the irregulars as well. Okay. So you have to know the present tense regulars and irregulars. All right. Because those will be used for the subjunctive conjugation. All right. So there's the present tense. Preterito. A lot less of you were confident with the preterito, so I'm just gonna read it to you. But in order to do the past subjunctive, for example, I wish you were here, past subjunctive, you have to know the preterito. Hablé, hablaste, habló, hablaron, hablamos. Comí, comiste, comió, comieron, comimos. Viví, viviste, vivió, vivieron, vivimos. You have to know these in order to do the past subjunctive. All right. We're not going to study that here. If you don't know it, watch my video in the free workshops about the past tense and you'll learn that. And then you can come and do subjunctive. So we're going to assume that you know the present and the preterito. Okay. Regulars, irregulars. Now we're going to conjugate the subjunctive. Okay, first we're going to do the subjunctive present, like, I hope that you can come, okay? Or I hope that you go, present. All right? I hope that you talk. I hope that you eat. I hope that you live, okay? I want you to talk. I want you to eat. I want you to live, all right? That's all subjunctive, okay? So instead of hablo, hablas, habla, hablan, hablamos, you notice what changes there. Okay? Hable, hables, hable, hablen, hablemos. All right? It's backwards. All right? So the AR verbs are now with ease. Hable, hables, hable, hablen, hablemos. And the ER and IR verbs are with A's. Okay, so instead of como, comes, come, comen, comemos, it's coma, comas, coma, coman, comamos. All right, so they've just flipped the script. They flipped it. The AR verbs become ER, and the ER, IR become AR. Okay, they flipped it. So the IR verbs are the same. Vivo, vives, vive, viven, vivimos becomes viva, vivas, viva, vivan, vivamos. So quiero que hables. Quiero que comas. Quiero que vivas. Right? I want you to talk. I want you to eat. I want you to live. All right? I hope that you can go. Espero que puedas venir. All right? What? All right. Mute, please. Everybody mute. Okay. Let me mute. There's the mute button. Mute all. Okay. All right. Take a look down here at this puedas. Okay. What you notice is that these guys, okay, they're regular verbs. Okay. So the stem doesn't change. But in this one, the stem looks like puedo, right? And if any of you know present tense in Spanish, you know that it's yo puedo, tú puedes, ellos pueden, él puede, nosotros podemos. Okay? So basically, it's mimicking, okay, the present tense still. Okay, the only thing that changes from subjunctive present to indicative present is the ending, but everything else stays the same. Right? Puedo, puedes, puede, pueden, podemos, pueda, puedas, pueda, puedan, podamos. Right? So if it's an irregular in the present tense, it's an irregular in the subjunctive present tense. Okay? We're not going to master it here, but I just want to introduce you so that when you hear it and someone says, espero que puedas ir, you're like, oh, puedas, puedes. You recognize it. That's my whole mission for showing you guys this. It's not to master it. It's not to use it. It's to hear it. Okay? When someone says, espero que hables, you're not like, what is hables? You get it. When you say espero que hablas, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Espero que comes is fine. It's not a big deal. But I want you to be able to recognize it. All right? I'll keep repeating myself because I don't want you to get overwhelmed by new information. I want you to remember the mission. Conversational Spanish, present tense, preterito tense. If you get those two, then you can understand subjunctive without even trying. Okay? Now, there are past tense, okay? Past tense, all right? If you know the past tense in Spanish, what I call the preterito, okay, you know what's called the plural past tense is hablaron, comieron, vivieron. Ellos hablaron, ellos comieron, y ellos vivieron. Okay, this one right here. This is the important one right here. Forget the others. This is the one you need to do subjunctive past tense. You need to know the third person plural preterito. That guy right there. If you know how to do that, then the subjunctive is the same root with a new ending. Okay, so instead of hablaron, it's hablaran. Instead of comieron, it's comieran. Instead of vivieron, it's vivieran. So I wish you talked. Ojalá que hablaras. Okay. I wish you ate. Ojalá que comieras. I wish you lived closer. Ojalá que vivieras. All right. So when we say it out loud in English, we're using the past tense. I wish you ate. I wish you lived. I wish you talked. So they use the past tense preterito, third person, and then they add ra, ras, ra, ron, ramos. Okay? Comieran. So hablara, hablaras, hablara, hablaran, hablaramos. Habláramos, excuse me. All right? Comieron becomes comiera, comieras, comiera, comieran, comiéramos. Vivieron becomes viviera, vivieras, viviera, vivieran, viviéramos. Okay? Again, if you know the preterito, this will be much easier for you to recognize without thinking. It'll just be like, oh yeah, vivieran. Okay, that's vivir. Oh yeah, hablaran, that's hablar. Comieran, that's comer. You'll just hear it and you won't even have to think about it. Okay, so that's why the present tense and the preterito tense are essential before you can understand subjunctive. And then down below is the same thing. This is the one that Marilyn called the old-fashioned Spanish, like the ancient Spanish, like Shakespearean Spanish. You know, like what's his name? The famous author, Love in a Time of Cholera. Gabriel
García Márquez.
Garcia Marquez. Okay, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So back in his days, he'd be using a lot more of this. Okay, so these two things are both the past tense here. One is a little bit more old-fashioned. One is a little bit more common. This one's more common. This one's more old-fashioned. But they still use this one, especially like in Spain, I think. Okay, maybe in Argentina. I don't know. Magda, ¿estás ahí? Are you back yet? No. Okay. So you've got the same thing, the same root, hablaron, comieron, vivieron, but with this ending. Se, sen, semos. So instead of hablaron, hablase, hablases, hablase, hablasen, hablásemos. Instead of comieron, it's comiese, comieses, comiese, comiesen, comiésemos. Instead of vivieron, it's viviese, vivieses, viviese, viviesen, viviésemos. Okay, so basically you just need to know enough to recognize it when you hear it. You don't need to use it. Present tense preterito. All right, any questions? Any questions? Present subjunctive or the past subjunctive conjugation. On a 1 to 10, how much do you think you're following and feeling like this is helping you on a 1 to 10? And or a 1 is like, I'm totally lost and I need a beer. And a 10 is like, this changed my life. Renee, 8.5. Love it. All right. Virgie, 7. That's awesome. 8, Peggy. All right. This is plugging a big puzzle that you probably came across a lot. And you're like, what's going on? Mike says 6, but I need a beer also. I'm sure some others in this call will join you. Judith, 3, but it will help me understand what people said. Yeah, you don't need to use it. You literally don't need to use it ever. You just need to recognize it when someone says, oh, you know, espero que hables, that you're not like bewildered, like, why'd they say hables? Right? That's my only message to you, is just know enough here to understand it exists. it's conjugated opposite, and you'll hear it. And if you can recognize it, instead of comieron, you're like, comieron, like, what is that? Oh, it sounds like comieron, comer, right? If that's what you hear, if you can start recognizing, you will understand it, and now you're conversational, right? Now you can get back to what you were doing before, which is learning 200 verbs, 300 verbs, 400 verbs, the 8 verb tenses. Go back to what you're always doing, right? As long as you understand this concept, the subjunctive, you never need to study it. Okay? You just need to understand the concept. All right? For fluency, yes, you need to study it. For conversational, no, you do not need to study it. Okay? You just need to recognize it. Now, remember when I told you there were 10 important words that you needed? All right? I lied. It was about 15, but that's okay. All right? It's still a small number. These guys, if you didn't have me tell you right now, you wouldn't have recognized them. Okay, so that's why I'm showing you, because there are irregulars, and I don't want to get into that on this workshop. There are a few irregulars, but you would still recognize all the irregulars. If you know the rules and you know present and you know preterito, you would have no problem recognizing the irregulars, except for these 15 here. These guys, if you didn't know they were subjunctive, you would have no idea what verb they were. Okay? Because they look nothing like the present tense and they look nothing like the preterito tense. So all you need to know is that what these 12 verbs, how many are there? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All you need to know is these 15 right here and recognize them, and you will then not be lost. You'll recognize it when you hear it. Okay, let's go over it. Hacer, haga. Haga, hagas, haga, hagan, hagamos. Okay, quiero que hagas el trabajo. I want you to do the work. All right, so haga. All right, these ones are the present tense subjunctive, and these are past tense subjunctive. I want you to do the work. Ser, sea. I want you to be happy. Quiero que seas feliz. Vaya, ir. I want you to go. Quiero que vayas. Vaya, vayas, vaya, vayan, vayamos. Okay? So when you see vaya, you know that's ir, go. Okay? When you see haga, you know that's hacer. Sea, ser. Tenga. Quiero que tengas el dinero. That one does look like it, but it's just so common that I just threw it in there. It does, that actually is a regular one. It looks like what it is. Tengo, tenga. Okay, but I put it in there anyway. Quiero que tengas el dinero. All right, I want you to have the money. Estar. Quiero que estés aquí. I want you to be here. Yeah, you would have recognized that too, but it's so popular, I wanted to add it in there. Okay, quiero que estés aquí. De, des, den, demos. Okay? Quiero que des los regalos a los niños. I want you to give the gifts to the kids. Dar, de. Haber. Okay, like hay pizza, hay tacos, hay comida, there's food, right? All right. I want there to be more tacos. Quiero que haya más tacos. Or haber, like the perfect tense, I have talked. Yo he hablado. Tú has hablado. Ellos han hablado. Quiero que ojalá que hayas, or espero que hayas hablado. I hope that you have talked. Espero que hayas comido. I hope that you have eaten. All right. So haber. Okay. Past tense. Ser, fuera. If I were a doctor, I would be rich. Si yo fuera un doctor, yo sería rico. Okay. Fuera. Ir. another fuera. If I went to class, okay, I would learn a lot. Si yo fuera a la clase, yo aprendería mucho. And this is actually, these are regulars because the pretérito is fueron. So I just included those because they're so common. I just wanted you to see them, right? But they actually follow the rules. Okay. Estuviera. Okay, that again, that follows the rules, but it's just super common. All right. If I were sick, I would sleep more. Si yo estuviera enfermo, yo dormiría más. Hubiera, haber. If I had played, we would have won. Si yo hubiera jugado, habríamos ganado. Yeah. Okay. If I had played, we would have won. All right. Hubiera, super common. All right. You hear it all the time. So if you know the perfect tense, yo he hablado, tú has hablado, ellos han hablado, nosotros hemos hablado, then this is that, hubiera. Okay. Haya and hubiera are the present and past subjunctive versions, okay, of the perfect tense. Okay, I have eaten, I have walked, I have talked, I have run. Okay, haya and hubiera. All right, I hope you have eaten, or I wish you had eaten. Okay, espero que hayas comido, ojalá que hubieras comido. All right. Poder, pudiera. If I could play, we would win. Si yo pudiera jugar, nosotros ganaríamos. All right. These ones are not irregular. To be honest with you, none of these are irregular here. They're all regular. They're actually in the past subjunctive. They all follow the rules that I gave you. But I just put these guys up because I wanted you to see them because they're just so common. All right, but they actually follow the rules that I told you. The third person pretérito, fueron, fuera. Estuvieron, estuviera. Hubieron, hubiera. Pudieron, pudiera. Hicieron, hiciera. Dieron, diera. Quisieron, quisiera. So these actually do follow the rules, but they're common. These guys don't. These guys are out of the blue sky. Okay. So actually, it's less than 10. Really, it's about 6, but that are totally different, that don't follow the rules. Okay, last one's hacer, hiciera. Okay, if I did the work, we would have money. Si yo hiciera el trabajo, tendríamos dinero. All right, if I did, hiciera. Dar, diera. If I gave you the money, you could go. Si te diera el dinero, tú podrías ir. Oftentimes, subjunctive works with future and conditional. Okay. So, you know, if you come, I will eat. Or if you came, I would go. Okay. So there's a lot of future and conditional with subjunctive. Okay, and querer, quisiera. Okay, this is one of the first things you guys learn is quisiera quisiera una cerveza, right? How many of you have heard that? Right? I teach you guys me gustaría una cerveza. I would like a beer. But you can also say quisiera una cerveza. Okay, and what is quisiera? It's subjunctive, but the funny thing about it is it doesn't really make sense why they use it in that situation. They just do. Right? So I would like, it doesn't mean I would like, but it does mean I would like. So quisiera is subjunctive for querer. All right? I would like to order the chicken. Quisiera pedir el pollo. All right? So that's it. We don't need to go any further than that. Okay, with those tools that I've just given you, you know the general reality of subjunctive. You know what you need to learn before you learn subjunctive, the present tense, the pretérito, and you should really learn 200 verbs, 8 verb tenses, 200 glue words, and 50 to 100 topics before you work on subjunctive, okay? You've learned you need the present tense and you need the preterito tense, okay? You've learned when to use it, more or less, and then we've covered the special irregulars that don't look like anything, and they're only used this way in subjunctive so that you recognize them. So with those tools, you can 100% be conversational and understand 100% of the subjunctive when you hear it, and you never need to use it, so it doesn't matter for speaking. Okay? If you want to go deeper for fluency, then yeah, great. Okay? But do not do this. Don't waste your brain on it if you don't have 200 to 400 verbs in 8 tenses. Okay? That's it. Let's open it to questions. 5 o'clock. We've hit an hour and a half. You guys are champions. Okay? Go ahead. Does anybody have any brain cells left to ask a question? If
we ask it out loud, or do you want us to write it in chat?
just jump in there. There's a small group now, so you're good.
Well, I've been studying subjunctives, and as I'm looking at your sentences, I learned that they usually start out with one verb and the word que, and then the second is subjunctive.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking at these,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that if I want you to do, I want you to do the work.
Yeah, there's no K.
There's not a that.
No, there's
a
not.
K.
Yeah, no,
Right.
the K is not a rule. It's one of the many rules.
So I'm seeing that, and it's, I mean, I can see the sentence and it makes sense to me, and you don't always have to have that. As long as you have two different.
You came in late to the workshop, first of all. I saw.
Did.
Okay, so watch the replay, okay? Because we talk about this, and there's a few things you missed that'll make it make sense. But the bottom line, Peggy, is that this video should be the only thing you need for subjunctive. Watch this video, and that's it. You shouldn't touch subjunctive again. You shouldn't study it. You shouldn't think about it until you've mastered 400 verbs and 8 tenses.
Okay, yeah.
Because if you know the 8 tenses, right? And especially the present and the preterito, and you understand this video that I just did here, you will 100% understand anything that anyone says in subjunctive without studying it at all. Okay? Only this video is all you need to understand subjunctive, if you have those tools. And so if your goal is conversational, what's most valuable for your time? Is it studying subjunctive or studying another 100 verbs or 200 verbs or 300 or 400? It's the verbs. Learn more verbs is way more important with the 8 tenses than subjunctive, because you will understand it with this one video you just finished today. This one video will answer anything you need to understand subjunctive when they talk to you. Okay? So watch this video again.
Yeah.
Watch this video, and you never, ever, ever, ever need to use subjunctive for them to understand you perfectly. Okay? If you say,
Right, yeah.
if you say quiero que haces el trabajo and you don't use hagas, they will understand you 100%. Okay? And so what is our mission? Our mission is conversational. What's more valuable? 200 verbs, 400 verbs, 800 verbs, vocabulary, grammar, all that other stuff is way more valuable than trying to master these rules here.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah. No, I came in on this. I just fell into it.
Yep.
And,
Perfect.
Yeah,
Watch the replay.
great.
Watch the
Good
replay.
stuff. Yeah.
All right. More questions. Fire away. Nada. We got Virgie left, Judith left, Renee left, and that's it. Marilyn and Magda don't have any questions, I don't think. Marilyn, we got to figure out the rules for when you can use the same subject and when you can't. Right?
Yeah.
In Spanish.
Yeah, in Spanish. And then we'll figure out how to explain it in English. So, good, you guys. Then that's it. Okay, for those watching the replay, okay, I am going to just mention right here. All right. Oops. Don't need to see him. He's not in our program. Let's go to the free Facebook group. For those watching the replay will be, or who want to watch the replay, it's going to be posted in this group along with all of our other free workshops will be found in the guides section under Spanish workshops. Okay, we have workshops once a week on very valuable topics for free. In addition to that, if you want to take your conversational Spanish, to, that level, that next level, and start immersing and start making friends and being able to, be a part of the community, right? Send me a message or make a comment in this video and we will talk about your goals. And I have a program going with Marilyn, with Magda, with all of our coaches every day, all day, just doing this, helping students become conversational. And we've been doing this for a long time. We know what it takes. We know the steps. We know how to get you there. So send a comment, send a message. We'll help you get there the fastest way possible. Things like this workshop, Subjunctive. We tell you what you need and we leave what you don't until you hit your goal, right? We've focused on exactly what it is you need to hit your exact goal as fast as possible. All right? So no swimming around in the weeds of things like subjunctive. It can bog you down. It can slow you down. There's a lot better stuff you can do with your time. We'll help you get there. Send a message or a comment and we'll talk to you about your goals. All right, everybody. Cool. That's about it for today. Let's wrap it up and see you in the next one.
Gracias. Adios.
Hasta luego. If you're watching this video, it means you really want to learn conversational Spanish, whether it's for dating, friendships, relationships, or just to immerse in the culture. I promise you, vale la pena. It's worth it. But I have to be honest with you. My workshops alone will not get you there. These are pieces in a much bigger puzzle. This is the easy part of the journey, the academic part. You need more. You need immersion. You need daily practice with native speakers who will help correct you and guide you, but also make it feel real. You need accountability. Someone to keep track of you, keep you motivated, and make sure you're not falling behind. Those are the things that will give you confidence to go out there and talk to everyone. That's where the real learning begins. So if you want to be able to do this in the real world, let's chat. I'll show you why 99% of expats and travelers fail to ever get conversational and why we succeed and how we're going to succeed specifically with you, with your life, your schedule, your level, your goals. Mention the secret word, vamos, for a limited lifetime guarantee, where if you join our program, we'll make sure you get to your goals at no extra cost. If you finish the program and you haven't reached your goals, you continue working with us for free. It's a guarantee. El español te va a cambiar la vida. Nos vemos pronto. Vamos.